Hi, my name is Dr. Don Wicker, and today we're going to continue our lecture series on organizational behavior. This is lecture series number 7, and today's topic is workplace aggression and workplace stress. And this is a perfect place to have this particular lecture series because we're talking about workplace stress. Therefore, I'm going to sit down in my office and discuss workplace stress and aggression. Today we're going to cover several topics. We're going to look at the individual responses to stress. What are the stress, the stressors, and an employee's response to stress? We're also going to describe the role of personality in reactions to stress. We're going to identify major sources of stress in organizations. We're also going to look at the impact of stress on health, performance, and job burnout. That is very important. We're going to look at individual and organizational practices for managing workplace stress. And finally, we're going to look at 4 major types of workplace aggression, which are bullying, sexual harassment, violence, and aggression toward the organization. Common influences on the stress experienced. If you look at the chart that we have displayed, think about stress from the environmental perspective. You have past experience, you have social support, individual differences, all developing stress experienced by the employee. And of course, their perception is also important when you think about stress in the workplace. So the stress from the environmental perspective includes all of those things. Let's look at the characteristics of type A personality. The characteristics of a type A personality in our stress subject here. A sense of urgency about time. Of course, a person with the A-type personality has a sense of urgency about time. They're competitive and almost hostile to orientation. They're thinking about other things while talking to someone, and you probably have experienced that, hopefully not, but you probably have experienced that with people that you've involved in conversation with, where you're talking and they're thinking about what they're going to talk to you about, which is a type A personality. Also, a type A personality is a person that's impatient and has a sense of guilt when relaxing or taking a vacation, and we've seen these type of people. So those are type A personality type people. The characteristics of a hardy personality. Hardy personality, what does that mean? Well, a sense of control, a personal control, attribution of one's own behavior and internal causes, commitment to their work and personal relationships. Stress and change seem as a challenge, an opportunity for growth. So we've seen these type of people also. A person with a hardy personality welcomes stress and opportunity for growth. Work stressors and stress experienced. And we talked a little bit about this earlier, but stress experienced by the employee. And if you think about stress on an employee, there's a lot of factors that are involved. There's job conditions, there's role ambiguity, career development, which is a real stress for most people because a lot of individuals who are working aren't sure of their career path. You have interpersonal relations, I should say. You have workplace aggression. You have conflict between work and life roles, which it happens when individuals work too many hours versus their leisure time. So all of these factors are involved in the stress experienced by the employee. The path of work, family, pressures, stress, and conflict. What does that concept really mean? As you can see from our chart that work versus family pressures creates family and stress on employee, leads to work and family conflicts, and of course triggers possible dissatisfaction, frustration, depression, and other symptoms can occur. So this all occurs when you start thinking about work versus family pressures. An example of stressful events for college students. Now, hopefully my college students are looking at this particular video, but if you think about high stressful events in a college student's life that can affect their work, you have death of a parent, death of a spouse, divorce, flunking out. That could be high stress. And you think about the moderate stressful events such as academic probation, maybe a parent's divorce, major illness or injury. Low stressful events, as you can see from our last section there, a change in eating habits, a change in social activities, conflict with an instructor, and lower grades than expected. It says a low stressful event, however, that can be considered a high stressful event depending on the subject matter and where that particular student is as far as their college career is concerned. What are the impacts of severe stress? And this is a good subject that people do not realize the impact of severe stress. There can be a physiological effect, such as increase in blood pressure, increase in heart rate, sweating, hot and cold spells, etc. You can have an emotional effect, which could be anger, anxiety, depression, even lowered self-esteem. And of course, the final one is behavioral effects, poor performance, absenteeism, accident rates, high turnover rates. These are all impacts of severe stress. And you start thinking about severe stress on your body, and your body is something that you have to keep healthy. And stress relievers are something that you may want to take a look at when you think about the stress that you're experiencing in the workplace. The health impacts of severe stress. A lot of people don't understand that. When you start thinking about severe stress in the workplace, what does that effect have on your body? And you think about the health problems that can occur, such as coronary heart disease, back pain, headaches. And a lot of people don't realize that when they have a back pain, it could be related to stress. And of course, you start thinking about the impact of the organization. Well, it's going to impact the organization when employees are stressed because it's going to increase healthcare costs, lost work days. Over 75% of industrial accidents are rooted in stress. That's a significant number. 75% of industrial accidents are rooted in stress. So there are stressful situations and stressful jobs. Stress-related workers' compensation claims, of course, are increased when employees are stressed. The path to job burnout. What are the conditions of the path to job burnout? Think about the working conditions. Constant pressure, insecurity, competition. If that's a constant, that can lead to job burnout. And you think about the unfulfilled or lack of control, overworked can cause more stress, exhaustion, frustration. All can lead to job burnout, which is another example of stress in the workplace. Individual stress management initiatives. How can employees relieve stress in the workplace? And you think about what can an employer do? Well, an employer can design an exercise program, encourage employees to take health serious, maybe dieting, balance work and personal life, and learn relaxation techniques. Relaxation techniques could be very important in the workplace to relieve stress. Potential overlaps of our 4 types of workplace aggression. And we discussed this in the beginning related to workplace aggression. Think about bullying, sexual harassment, violence, and aggression toward the organization. These are all can be related in some form or fashion. The 4 types of workplace aggression. Let's look at the first type. The first type is workplace bullying. What exactly is workplace bullying? Well, think about an employee or a manager who flaunts status or authority. That can be condescending, gives others the silent treatment, insulting, yelling, shouting, someone that talks about others behind their back. That can be a form of workplace bullying, which is unacceptable, of course, in the workplace. Our second of our 4 types of workplace aggression, sexual harassment. What exactly is sexual harassment? Well, think about harassment, for instance. Harassment, of course, is the verbal or physical conduct that shows a hostile or aversion toward an individual because of that person's race, skin color, religion, gender, national origin, age, or disability. And of course, it creates an intimidating, hostile, or offensive work environment, and it adversely affects an individual's employment opportunities. And that's just harassment. But you start looking at sexual harassment. What does sexual harassment mean? Well, of course, the unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and other verbal or physical conduct of sexual nature. That's a basic example of sexual harassment. What are the warning signs of workplace violence? Which is one of our types of workplace aggression. Workplace violence. What happens? Well, violent and threatening behavior, strange behavior, performance problems is a good example of warning signs of workplace violence. Of course, interpersonal problems, expressions of resentment, and a person making a statement, "I'm at the end of my rope." Those are the warning signs of workplace violence, and we should all be aware of these. Finally, aggression toward the organization. What could be aggression toward an organization? Well, it's very simple. You could have theft. You could have an employee destroying equipment. You could have an employee who lacks that commitment to work and slacks off. And a person being rude to customers are all forms of aggression toward the organization. That sums up lecture series number 7. Again, we're discussing organizational behavior, and our topic today was aggression in the workplace. We want to thank you for your time and tuning in to lecture series number 7, and I look forward to talking to you again in lecture series number 8.